Tonight on News 5 Live, a pair of unrelated murders in Belize City. Police are investigating the deaths of Courtney and Micah Balthazar as gang-related homicides. The Corazon Bay seat is vacant in the wake of Dido Vega's death. 3 persons, including Vega's sister, are expressing interest in the upcoming by-election. And the Briceño administration has convened an economic recovery team. We'll tell you who the members are. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
If we are only as strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us, then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something. The Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call on net, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Tuesday, December 15th. I am Marlene Cuellar. A father of two was killed in Belize City on Monday night. Keith Courtney Jr. was in his yard when the assailants attacked him. He tried to escape from his killers, but he couldn't get away from their bullets. The family reports that they heard the shots ring out in their neighborhood, but they didn't know that the bullets claimed their loved one's life. It's a tragedy that has left the family reeling, considering that Courtney's father was killed in the same way just 9 months ago. Today, News 5 visited the family to try to find out why another member was struck down by bullets. Here's that story.
26-year-old Keith Courtney Jr. was murdered just before 9 o'clock on Monday night. He was standing at this yard on Ebony Street when he was gunned down. It's a house where he's been living for the past 6 months. His grandmother, Lorraine Courtney, lives a stone's throw away. She was in her bed when she heard the shots ring out last night. This morning, she found out that the target of those bullets was her grandson, Keith Courtney Jr.
My daughter will live there. That she told me this morning. She said, she dead. And I said, no, man. She said, he was shot. I said, well, I know I have about 6 bullets. But as long as I got, I don't want to get up. I can't me what me there.
Courtney and another man were reportedly on the veranda when 2 persons stormed inside the yard and fired several shots. Courtney and the other man ran away from the killers, but it was too late. He had been fatally injured and died on the way to the hospital. According to his sister-in-law, Nerisi Castro, she was communicating with him about an hour before he was killed. She describes him as a nice and quiet young man.
He's an outgoing person, sweet, like laugh, like clone himself, you know, when you get together, everybody. He give advice, he always there for everybody. He love his 2 daughters there, everything for his baby there. You know, the night before we just made a talk and he made a tell me that how he wanna build something for his daughter there, everything he had just change your life and just be here and just live life for his baby there and not knowing. Last night when I be the last night, I have found Keith.
Do you know why someone would want to kill Keith in this way?
To be honest with me, no. Because he no trouble people. He quiet, he hardly have friends. You know, most of his family. So I don't know why they would have walked out his life shot.
While Castro doesn't know what put a target on Courtney's back, his mother says while she can't pinpoint what led to his brutal murder, she knows that he had disassociated himself from a gang, and ever since then, he became a marked man to the gang to which he once belonged.
We can't do like Corazon Bay herbs, you know, and then going back. They said they can't be the old there. And one boy come out, I can't be to shoot 6 bullets.
I think they made a wait for Keith out there.
Yes, I wait for now. Had me out for a long time.
What make you think they made it after all?
Because he made a gang, but you know, he stopped. Since the girl had one baby, and he decided to stop her, run straight, but like they don't take it so, you know, they still want in the gang.
So although he left the gang, you know, he still get caught up in that.
You see, yeah, he could walk on nowhere. Because in time go anywhere then fast, you know. He couldn't even go to my. No go to my house. If in the year and I tell her, go to my get some mistake and he say I can't go. Say I no go wrong there.
It's a tragedy for the Courtney family that started earlier this year, in March, when Keith Courtney Sr. was shot and killed on the same property where his mother lives on Ebony Street. Courtney Sr. died while shielding his grandson from bullets that a trigger-happy gunman fired onto the property. Lorraine Courtney says that she doesn't believe her grandson's killing is connected to his father's, but the pain and sorrow feel just the same for the matriarch of the family as that she experienced 9 months ago when she lost her son.
That are not nice, I tell you. I sit down quiet, can't have my pressure go up. You understand me? Well, pressure go by my be the third Courtney go.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
As you just heard, Keith Courtney Jr.'s family can't say exactly why he was killed, although they now acknowledged that he was being harassed by the members of his former gang. And tonight, police are saying that so far the investigation shows that Courtney wasn't the intended target. CIB Commander for Eastern Division Superintendent Alejandro Cobo says that investigators believe that the bullets were meant for the other man due to an ongoing internal gang rivalry.
Unfortunately, again last night, just before 9, Mr. Keith Courtney, 26 years, was on his veranda on Ebony Street, along with another family member, when two male persons ran upstairs and they fired shot, injuring him, and he was later transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead.
Do we know why he was targeted?
We have been gathering information likewise, and we believe that it was not him who was the intended target, but the other person who was along with him.
Suspects in this case?
We are looking for several persons that we believe can assist us in the investigation at this time.
Do you have anyone detained at this moment, sir?
We have a number of persons already in custody that police are interviewing at this time.
The men, how did they access there? Were they in a vehicle, on bike?
Yeah, we understand that they came on a vehicle and they walked towards the residence of Mr. Courtney.
Have you been able to put an identification on that vehicle?
We are working on that at this time.
No eyewitnesses apart from the friend who's there?
No other person.
Was Keith Courtney ever targeted before, sir? We know that his father was killed about 9 months ago.
Yes, we know that he has been called likewise, or said to be associated one of the gangs in that area, and we believe hence the reason again that might be the motive for the other person that they were looking. Is the dispute that they have around those gang rivalries in that neighborhood.
Sir, did you receive any information that he once belonged to a gang, left that gang, and ever since then he was being harassed by the gang that he left?
Well, at this present moment, the gang situation, we understand that there are several persons that are moving about, and this is causing a dispute, internal dispute among them, and this is how some of them are targeted, because they are moving from one place to the other place.
Another mother is grieving the loss of a teenage son to gun violence tonight. Florentina Balthazar's son was gunned down on Niels Pen Road on Monday night, several minutes after leaving his cousin's home. Admittedly, Micah Balthazar was no saint, but his mother says that he was simply misunderstood. Police, on the other hand, say that it is all gang-related and that Balthazar was in the wrong neighborhood when he was preyed upon by his rivals. Here's Isani Caetano with that story.
A 19-year-old Belize City resident is dead, and his murder on Monday night is being investigated as a gang-related homicide. Micah Balthazar had just left his cousin's house on Rivera Street and was walking along Niels Pen Road around 7:30 p.m. when he was pounced upon with lethal precision. A gunman fired several shots in his direction, leaving him for dead on the sidewalk.
Upon arrival at the scene, they observed the motionless body of a male person who was later identified as Micah Balthazar, 19 years of age. We have a Holy Emmanuel address for him, and also he uses Mahogany Heights address. He was seen with apparent gunshot wounds to his body. What we understand is that Mr. Balthazar had just exited his uncle's residence, which is somewhere in the Coral Road area, and was walking on Niels Pen Road when he was approached by someone who fired several shots at him, causing his death.
According to Florentina Balthazar, her son has had a troubled past, but notwithstanding the fact that he has made several enemies along the way, his demise was unforeseen.
Micah give it trouble, but Micah love and respect everybody. And I get on TV and I cry. I just have to pray for everybody, man. Pray for the youths of Belize. My son went home with me. My son left home Friday. Came the dance up for the brother birthday the Thursday. And the Friday after I carry brother for me and Ben Mopan, Gamba charger, to spend the time with the brother. He pick up a bag, he said, man, left. He came and help me do work around my yard.
That would be the last time Balthazar would see her son alive, when he left her home on December 11th. Police say their investigation thus far points to gang involvement, as Balthazar was from a different neighborhood in the city.
We have been gathering some information, and so far we know that he is not from that area, and because he hangs at another location, and we believe that is the motive why he was shot.
He was in the wrong turf, you're saying?
Yes.
So it points back to a gang rivalry.
We suspect it is has to do with gang.
Any suspects at this time?
We are looking for one person that we believe that he can assist us in the investigation at this time.
The family of Micah Balthazar, particularly his mother, is calling for a ceasefire among rival groups in Belize City. Her son's killer, she says, has already been absolved in her eyes.
But I know people not like you. I know people like I know he have his own issues because he have a mental disorder, you could say it, or a behavioral disorder. And these people not educated to know how to deal with people with disabilities, you know, and Micah be 19 probably people were uneducated, as I say. No know, and probably he snapped too, you know. My son don't miss out for nothing. That the person who killed my son, he need praises, he need God. My son the rest. My son have to think about where I eat tomorrow. The individual have to live a life, they hide from God, hide from himself. But for me, I don't forgive him. Because I say, no retaliation.
A police investigation into Balthazar's murder remains ongoing. Reporting for News 5, I am Isane Cayetano.
Coming up, a by-election in Corazon Bay. Candidates are already submitting their names for the upcoming vote.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, now if we died with Christ, we believe that we will also live with Him. For if we know that since Christ was raised from the dead, He cannot die again, death no longer has mastery over Him. The death He died to sin once for all, but the life He lives to God. In the same way, count yourselves dead to sin, but alive to God in Christ Jesus. The story is told of a crotchety old man and his wife who lived deep in the backwoods with little access to the outside world. One day he fell and struck his head, and thinking he was dead and knowing no mortician was available, the widow summoned neighbors to help dress his body and put it in a plain box and take it to the burial site. As the dead man was being carried from the house by 4 neighbors, one of them stumbled, causing the coffin to crash into a gate post. The crash somehow revived the old man, and he knocked the cover off the coffin and screamed at everyone and raised a terrible fuss. 1 year later, the old man fell sick and died again. Once more the body was placed in the box, and as the pallbearers were nearing the cemetery, the widow firmly said, "Watch out for that gate post." Obviously, one resurrection was enough. Easter is a story of one death, one burial, and one resurrection. Once for all, O sinner, receive it. Once for all, O brother, believe it. Cling to the cross, the burden will fall. Christ has redeemed us once for all. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Belize Electricity Limited encourages you to enjoy this holiday season by following these safety and energy conservation tips. Inspect each holiday light string for rusted light sockets, cords, and plugs for damages. If you notice any damages, throw away the strings of lights. Consider using LED lights. They remain cool, are more durable, and consume less energy. Use only extension cords certified by Underwriters Laboratories UL for safety. Distribute light strands among multiple extension cords and use power strips. This prevents circuit overload that would otherwise overheat and potentially start a fire. Remember, even when switched off, your decor still consumes small amounts of electricity. So curb the waste by plugging all decorations into power strips and turn off lights when not in use. Finally, when decorating outdoors, always look out and keep ladders away from overhead power lines.
Belize Electricity Limited wishes you a safe and happy holiday season.
of Health and Wellness.
Prime Minister John Briceño today announced the members of the Economic Recovery Advisory Team. These members are tasked with getting the economy back on track. A working group of 14 business professionals will make recommendations to engineer sustainable economic activity going forward. A government press release says the team will also make recommendations to, quote, protect and create jobs and successfully emerge from the current economic crisis stemming from the 2019 UDP administration recession, the COVID-19 pandemic, weather-related shocks, and the resulting collapse of the tourism and other sectors of the economy, unquote. The team will be co-chaired by the CEO in the Ministry of Finance, Christopher Coy, and Sean Feinstein, who will be representing the tourism industry. The agro-productive sector will be represented by Gilbert Canton Jr., while Reynaldo Magana represents the international financial services sector. Dr. Henry Canton will be speaking on behalf of businesses of traditional commodities, and Sandra Bedran will be speaking on behalf of the banking services. The insurance services sector will be represented by Christopher Rowe, while Michael Bowen represents the manufacturing sector. Nubia Ramirez is on the team representing business process outsourcing, and Dr. Victor Rosado is representing health services. Small businesses are being represented by Catherine Main, and the credit unions are being represented by Corrine Robinson Fuller. The Prime Minister is being represented by his CEO, Narda Garcia, and the NTUCB is being represented by Mandela Wade. The team will submit its recommendations and strategies to the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance for urgent consideration and action. Corazon Bay Area Representative David Dido Vega died from complications related to the novel coronavirus, leaving a vacant seat in the House of Representatives. This has triggered a by-election for which the Constitution stipulates that voters within that division must return to the polls within 3 months or by March 11th to decide who will represent them once again in the House. With a timeline of about 3 months, Chief Elections Officer Josephine Tamay says that they are prepared and are simply awaiting the announcement by the Prime Minister.
When a vacancy is created, which in this case one has been created, a by-election is due within 3 months of the date that the vacancy occurred. So we're looking at that, the 3-month period to be in March, the 11th of March actually. And so we're expecting that a by-election will be called. That will be based on when the Prime Minister makes an announcement as to when he intends to hold the by-election. For us at Election on the Boundaries, when it comes to a by-election, well, this is not the first that we're going to be doing. So we are prepared in terms of having a by-election.
On the night of the November 11th general elections, former Corazon Bay Area Representative Pablo Marin announced that he was retiring from politics and hinted to former 4-time Corazon Town Mayor Gilberto Campos as his replacement in that division. In the absence of Campos confirming his candidacy, this means that both major political parties are already in the process of selecting the candidates that will be nominated to contest the by-election. Late this evening, the PUP Corazon Bay executive met and have pledged their support to Elvia Vega Samos, the sister of Dido, as their candidate of choice to represent the PUP in the by-election. Samos has agreed to continue the legacy of her brother, having served and is presently serving as the chairlady of the executive. An educator as well, Samos wants to ensure that her brother's years of hard work will not be in vain. But when will these persons be nominated? Tamay breaks down that process.
The by-election dates should not be less than 15 days and not more than 21 days after nomination day. So depending on when that by-election date is set, it has to be between 15 and 21 days. Prior to that date, that nomination day will be held.
Corazon Bay was among the divisions that saw a higher voter turnout. 89% of the electorate came out to exercise their constitutional right. Back in November, some 5,462 registered voters were eligible to participate in the general elections in Corazon Bay. That was the officially approved list of electors as of September 7th. With an upcoming by-election, Chief Elections Officer Josephine Tamai says that it is expected that the voters list in that division will increase.
The persons who will be eligible to vote in the by-election will be the persons who are on the voters list as of nomination day. So again, that will be dependent on whenever the Prime Minister determines that the by-election should be held. So we're just awaiting that information for us to be able to give additional information as to when the cutoff date actually will be. Because like I said, the cutoff date will be the persons on the list as of nomination day.
That would mean that the list of voters would change by that time, right?
Right. The list of voters would have changed from the September list that we had.
From by-election to municipal elections. As you know by now, the municipal elections are scheduled to be held on the first Wednesday in the month of March 2021. So on March 3rd, voters from 9 towns and cities will once again go to the polls to cast their votes. It is expected that the deadline for nominations will be around mid-February, since by law there is a 20-day period prior to the election date within which nominations must be done.
We are in the process of preparing for those municipal election. It will be for all 9 municipalities. As we speak, preparations are being made. We know that with the challenge of COVID, again, we would have to definitely put protocols in place in order for us to conduct the election. We need to look at the safety of public officers and the safety of voters as well, because that is also our #1 priority. So we'll definitely be having meetings again with the Ministry of Health in order to determine if there is any need for any change in regards to the process that we carried out before. We know that when it came to that, the protocols, we had strict protocols in place in terms of the voting process itself. So we intend to continue to maintain that and to even try to do even better this time around. So when it comes to the date itself, we know that has been set. So it's the 3rd of March, 2021. When it comes to nomination day for municipal election, again, that is a date that the government will have to determine. But again, more than likely that will be around the just before the middle of February, which is not too far away.
The deadline to register in time for the municipal elections is January 11th. Chief Elections Officer Josephine Tamai says that given the registration cycle, the approved list will include those registered up to that date. She encourages Belizeans to get registered, saying that COVID-19 safety protocols are being exercised at the Elections and Boundaries offices across the country.
Looking at the possibility of nomination being by the 2nd week in February, more than likely the deadline for persons to register to vote in municipal election would be the 11th of January 2021. So again, for persons who wish to vote in the municipal elections, they are required to be registered by 11th of January 2021. I want to encourage persons who have not registered, because we have a continuous registration system. So persons could always go in and register at the office, but again, depending on the nomination day, that will determine if they will be eligible to vote. One of the things that we have been doing since early this year, persons who go to the Election and Boundaries offices are required to use their masks. Persons will not be attended to if they're not properly wearing their mask. They are properly sanitized before entering the offices. And we have persons who continuously clean the offices throughout the day to ensure that the staff is safe and to ensure that persons who will go in to get registered are safe. We also manage the number of persons within the office space at any particular point in time. We ask persons to please ensure that outside, while they're waiting for them to maintain the 6 feet social distancing. In cases where it's difficult to manage, then we would ask the assistance of the police to ensure that persons are abiding by these protocols.
After the break, a second chance for reformed gang members in auto care. A second phase of the Empowering Communities to Empower Themselves initiative, funded by the U.S. Embassy Public Affairs Grant, was launched today. Months ago, in the Yabra community, a life skills center was created to help empower members of the community to become entrepreneurs and to turn their backs to a life of crime. This time, in the St. Martin's community and in the form of an auto care shop, young men who were once caught up in the criminal justice system are being given a second chance. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
The St. Martin's One-Stop Auto Care was officially opened for business today. It is located on Partridge Street Extension in Belize City. A vacant plot of land in the community will be transformed into an economic project for the area, zoning in on the youth. The business is aimed at creating entrepreneurial opportunities for former gang members and persons who are caught up in the criminal justice system.
The impact it's going to have in the community is some of the guys are going to have a regular job. We also try to work with the youths in the community to keep them away from crime and violence so that they don't have to make the same mistakes we make or go down the same road we went.
I always look on dreams and opportunities. I like make goals and plans and try to be successful. So for me, for this, it will be a good success for us. For me personally, I always like things like this, put myself into new challenges and try to become something different.
According to Japhet Bennett and Albert Clother, they are seen as role models by the youth in the community and they want to lead by example, so the intention is to inspire them so that turning to criminal activity is not an option.
People look up to we, so we come out and all the younger generation see we the work and they're like, how you the work? And I said, this boy you want, you know, so when they see we the work they're like, come around, you know people like chase kids, come man, come play. That what we like opportunities to come. So when you're young, you want to grow up the land, not the land for the stupidness.
It's time for us to return the favor to the younger generation and show them and teach them the same way that we learn.
The initiative is part of a wider project by the U.S. Embassy in Belize, along with partners, to empower communities to empower themselves. Chargé d'Affaires Keith Gilgas says that it is the second of 3 new community resource hubs. The first was in the Yarborough area, and the third, which is expected to be launched in the months ahead, will be in the George Street area.
Over about a 5-month period, we've been able to put some money towards it, Love Foundation organization, Colby the People, and it's really about giving these folks a second chance. People that have often been stigmatized because they've done time in prison or they've been part of gangs, but they themselves have chosen a new path. They've said, you know, we want to try something different. And so this program is all about giving them that second chance.
Colby Foundation is also involved in the project. Francisco Woods, who jokingly dubbed himself as the Minister of Second Chances, says that it is the aim to have inmates transition back into society and become successful.
That when men can come out of the Colby Foundation with lots of knowledge and good heart and willing to go, full of hope, full of life, high spirits, then they come into a community that's not receptive to them. They fall into a community that leads them down the same road that got them to the Colby Foundation in the first place. So we quickly realized that we had to add reintegration into the mission statement, and that we did. And this right here is an exact example of what we're trying to do. Trying to reach out, create a location, a hub, when the inmates, when inmate comes out of Colby Foundation, they can go somewhere that will be friendly, that will be understanding, that will give them a chance.
So the next time you need your vehicle detailed, a wash, or even a fix, reach out to St. Martin's One Stop Auto Care.
We will be offering full auto care. You know, you could come and get your oil change. If you have a problem with your vehicle, you can come over. We'll diagnose the problem and fix it, and we try to get the parts for everyone as cheap as possible, because over the years, this is what we do, mechanic. So we work with some of the other places that sell auto parts. So we get it for a cheaper rate. If we can't get it cheap here, we get it cheap over there. So that's what we're trying to provide, a cheaper service and better quality.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Earlier today, Acting Commandant of the Belize Coast Guard, Commander Gregory Sabaranis, along with his operational staff, met with the leadership of Sartaneja Village to discuss community collaboration and partnership on mitigating measures to deter the cross-border transmission of the coronavirus. Discussion was also held with members of Sartaneja Alliance for Conservation and Development to enhance cooperation and management of the marine resources and environment in the Corazon Bay area. Maritime border security is a priority for the Coast Guard, as it is an integral component of its national defense mandate. Coming up after the break, the Belize Music Agency goes digital with the help from a CDB grant. The government today announced the launch of the Belize COVID-19 Cash Transfer Program. The program aims to provide support to vulnerable households affected by COVID-19. Government says that the program will provide supplementary short-term emergency cash to households that have not qualified for other social assistance schemes. A list of beneficiaries is being compiled using the Food Assistance Program for the cash transfer, with priority being placed on poor families with pregnant women, children, the elderly, and persons living with a physical disability. So far, 36,000 beneficiaries have been assessed, and those who are approved will receive approximately $150 to $600 per month, depending on the household composition. But only 18,000 households will receive assistance for a 6-month period. And that's because the government is funding the program with $19 million from the World Bank. For those persons who were not approved by the previous government, the application to receive assistance under this cash transfer program is now open and will remain open up to December 23rd. Countrywide screening and enrollment into BCAT are being conducted in 8 phases. Beneficiaries will be notified of their successful application and payment dates using Mobile Pays, a new mobile payment solution developed by Digi. The application will allow beneficiaries to cash out their funds using their mobile phones. Beneficiaries will be notified of their payment amount, when and where to collect via bi-monthly text messages. The Belize Crime Observatory partnered with the National Women's Commission to assist 46 professionals from across 20 different agencies working in addressing gender-based violence to incorporate the gender approach in information management processes within their organizations. The training had 4 objectives, including promoting a more comprehensive understanding of the importance of gender mainstreaming. The participants successfully completed the 8-week course delivered remotely, which was initiated in August of this year. The training was interactive and catered for participants to prepare and present joint analysis in areas such as human trafficking, cyberbullying, gender-based violence, gender inequality, and transforming knowledge, attitudes, and behavior of men as drivers of change. At a short ceremony, Minister of Home Affairs and New Growth Industries, Karim Musa, presented awards to the top 4 participants.
The training was open to a wide range of stakeholders from both government agencies and civil society. A total of 46 participants, 17 men, and 29 women. Talk about inequality. From 19 agencies, created a rich and dynamic learning experience that exceeded all expectations. The interagency experience, which entailed a weekly live webinar and self-paced online learning with vibrant discussion forums, enabled participants to dialogue, debate, and build a deeper understanding of the current framework for managing information with a focus on gender, as well as looking at ways for better to raise the bar to ensure that information management systems adequately take into account the dimensions that breed gender-based violence. Participants were considered for a number of awards, not just for their academic performance, but also for their engagement, enthusiasm, commitment, and dedication exhibited throughout the course. So, in addition to celebrating the top performer, Justice Antoinette Moore, top performer. So a round of applause for Justice Antoinette Moore, who claimed first place for having attained the top score. We also recognize Alva MacDonald, WPC 1398, for having been the most avid reader of the online documentation. Dr. Gwen Nunes Gonzalez for standing out as the most engaged thinker in both the live and online forums. And Lieutenant Colonel Louis Sutherland for being the most enthusiastic participant and for continuing to champion the cause for gender equality by advocating for greater inclusion of the women in decision-making in the military.
There's more news after the break, so stay tuned. The Belize Music Agency is switching its entire music operation to an online platform. But for it to do so, it needed funding. CEO James Sanker looked to the Caribbean Development Bank given the continuous financial hardships brought upon by the COVID-19 pandemic. Sanker applied for a grant and was successful in obtaining $12,000 to keep his agency alive on a digital platform. bzstream.com is the agency's platform where all its entertainment arts can be found. Sanker says that the agency is grateful for the assistance.
I was a little bit surprised because usually these things have a lot of other people that are involved in it, and getting selected is a slim chance. And so I was pleasantly surprised that I got it, and Belize could participate in some of the Caribbean initiatives that are out there. The proposal was set forth to expand BZ Stream. We have an online platform now that we're used for streaming. It's more than just streaming. It's actually, we'll have Caribbean content on it, not just music. We'll have documentaries, movies, comedy, entertainment in general. All right, so the grant is to expand that platform. Not to do everything that we want to do. $12,000 definitely cannot do it, but to segment a small part of what we want to do with that $12,000, which is really, really helpful. We are really thankful that we're able to get it.
One of the music agency's first online events will be the annual Brockdown Festival, scheduled to take place on Sunday, December 20th. Sanka says that lovers of Brockdown music can expect to enjoy the music on the online platform.
We have most of the songs on there are original songs, so you should be excited about coming to hear new Brockdown songs, and they're all Brockdown songs. We also have a group that is crossing over some jazz arrangement of some Brockdown songs and doing some Brockdown song in jazz. With jazz elements, it's still Brockdown, but some jazz element. Basically, we're just stretching the envelope a little bit so people could see what potential Brockdown could have when it's a little bit more mainstream than what we usually have. We also have dancing, we also have drumming, we have Emmett that's going to explain to us what exactly is this Creole rhythm that everybody is wondering, what the hell is this Creole rhythm, right? So he's going to be explaining that to us, and it's one for the entire family. This one, we're asking your support to help promote the event, which is the 28th of December at 8 o'clock. And you could donate. We have a very unique method of getting assistance. For every donation, you get a reward. So you just go to the platform and you'll find the reward program for this festival. And for every donation that you give, every little bit of donation, you get a free reward and a free ticket to basically come to the pay-per-view event, which is only $5. But you could get a free coupon code if you just donate some small amount to the event. And let me say the URL so people would know. You could type BZ Streaming in Google and it'll come up. Or you could basically just say bzstream.com, bzstream.com.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at News 5 Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.